The lush green palm branches of Sunday, now withered and brown, litter the street, blown hither and thither by a careless wind. Now it's Friday. Early, John says. Pilate's been awakened. And I've thought to myself, I wonder what Pilate had for breakfast. Perhaps the perfect Roman breakfast on a Passover Friday would be fresh fried bacon, some eggs, and a slice of bread. How appropriate for a Roman to desecrate such a high and holy day. But on this day, Jesus had no breakfast. He was the Passover lamb being led to the slaughter. As I reread the story of the Passion, I wonder what Jesus thought about during those last 24 hours. I don't mean the things that are listed in Scripture. I mean the stuff that no one knows but the Father who sent him. Did he remember the first leaf that died, the first lamb that was to bleed? Could Jesus see Adam and Eve? Could he hear the serpent's lie, "You will never die"? Could Jesus feel the serpent slowly winding itself around his heel and slowly beginning to crush it? Could Jesus see Satan standing beside him with a hammer and nails in his hands? Did Jesus see me, denying him to my friends, selling him for a few pieces of silver? Did he hear me when I swore I never knew him? He was a man with dignity and self-respect. He wanted people to like him. He wanted to be accepted, treated fairly and with justice. And in those last hours, there are so many personal things that we overlook. Private, unmentionable things. How did he feel when they took all his clothes away? How often do you suppose they took him to the restroom to freshen up? You see, there was no death with dignity for Jesus. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter, and yet he didn't even open up his mouth. Pilate scoffed at him. "Don't you know that I have the power to release you or to crucify you?" And Jesus prayed to his Father, "Father, can you let this cup pass from me?" But they grabbed him by the wrists and they spat in his face and they struck a crown of thorns with a reed again and again to make sure the crown pierced his skin. They tore his cloak from his back and they scourged him until his back bled. We slapped his face, we pushed him around, we laughed at him, we taunted him. We took those gentle hands that had formed us out of clay and slammed them down on those splintery timbers. We strung them up like a scarecrow and laughed until our sides split. And the God who created us, with tears of compassion, looks at us and says, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." Pilate scoffs at Jesus. "Don't you know that I have the power to release you or to have you crucified?" Jesus prayed to the Father, my God, why are you forsaking me? Can't this cup pass?" Do you think that Jesus ever gave up hope that in the last moment his Father would rescue him? Do you think that he had forgotten the story of Abraham and Isaac and how God had spared the son of Abraham? Don't you think that he hoped that just his willingness would be sufficient, that some other way might be found? Don't you think he prayed, "Father, it hurts. Does it have to be this way? But, Father, glorify your name. For this is the reason I have come." And there he hung between earth and sky with nails through his hands and feet. Looking up at his dying form, suddenly we realize that we should be hanging there, we should be suffering, and yet he's dying in our place.